Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series every weekday, Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. But a slightly later one today because my guest is a very, very busy man. How you doing, Clive? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How are you? Sorry about that. A little bit
Yes.
late.
No, that's fine, mate. It's fine. It's fine. It's all my fault as well. I've been sending links out. I don't know if you saw this on the pod, but I managed to cut my finger. I was going to say off, which would have been a hyperbole, but part of it is missing. It's a potato peeler incident. Genuinely,
Oh,
there is part of my finger completely gone. But I took it like a man,
good for you.
and we continue doing the shows anyway. But I'm holding this arm like elevated the entire time for like the
The
next
modern
week.
man in the kitchen. Good for you.
Yeah, I know. No, never again. Of course, we have now witnessed Arsenal's opening two games. Not the best results, of course, and we would have much preferred. And I wanted to sit down with you, Clive, to kind of talk through some of the things that need to change and some of the things that we need to improve. Because
Yeah.
it's all well and good sitting here, and plenty of shows do that and just, criticize and bash what was wrong and highlight this. But I kind of wanted to talk through with you what we need to change, to what solutions we need to find to our problems. And it's very easy to say, change the manager in some senses, and
Yeah.
a lot of people think that is the right way. And I'm certainly probably in that court. But the realistic thing is that he's probably not going anywhere. So we need to kind of look down some different avenues. We've still got time left in the transfer window, so we can cover some of those solutions. But specifically in regards to what you saw against Chelsea, what do you think were the glaring and obvious things that need to change?
So Chelsea, we beaten them twice last year. So I heard one of your morning shows. We beat them with a back four. We beat them with a back three, right? Back five. When they play the back five against us, we play the back five against them, and we beat them. We beat them in the cup final. We twanged Aspilicueta's hamstring in the cup final, ran him to distraction. Reece James was spinning on his head around, didn't know where to stand. And we just had a system in place which basically really won us the game, right? We enjoyed those days. I'm a huge fan of the back three, but I'm not a huge fan of the back three every single week. I'm a huge fan of the back three when you need to use it. So tactics are tools in your toolbox. Why turn away from the obvious tool on the day where you need to use it? Just because of what? Because you decide that maybe that's not the right tool for that day. Now, everything I say here, I'm going to caveat it. I'm going to caveat it by saying we've got COVID running through the camp. We've got a few injuries. We've got people in the squad who they want to get rid of, 5 or 6. So the squad is actually smaller than we think it is. The last time Arsenal had a period where we were the worst in the history of mankind was pre-Christmas, the last time we had to get the old squatters out, right? So a few of those left, and guess what? Things picked up. We've got a few people who have been told to leave, mooching around the camp. There are extenuating circumstances, and I said a little while ago on Twitter, the season will not start until September the 1st. Now, people who don't like throwing away 9 points, and trust me, I'm one of them, slap me significantly online. But I could sort of see this coming. I couldn't see Brentford coming, mate, to be honest. I mean, when the Ornstein tweet came out middle of the day and we realised we had no forwards, that's not something you could predict,
No.
And so I didn't see that coming, although it would have been a difficult game anyway. Chelsea, I mean, trust me, it was a 2-0 slapping, and City, we know what's coming, right? So it's hard for us to take this. It really is, but we're going to take it a little bit longer, I think.
We will have Martin Odegaard and Alexandre Lacazette back for Saturday. Does that change how you feel about going into that game? Are they solutions to our problems for the game against City?
So let's have a chat, right? Because you do shows every day and you've got opinions on the game. They are born from many different inputs, different people you talk to, maybe even myself, right? Like different inputs, right? People that you listen to, talk to, read, and in people on your channel. They're inputs to your opinion and how you see the game. And there's no, just because I see the game differently to Mikel Arteta or what's my priorities of the game and my emphasis on what a team should look like, it doesn't mean I can't see what he's trying to do or support him when something goes right. I'm not going to sit there waiting for him to fail to say, well, you should have done it my way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I believe my football philosophy is much more aligned to having a team that people are afraid to play against, right? So there are different reasons for that. I mean, my fundamental things are, it's a game of duels. It's a game of one-on-ones, your ability to control your man and to control your own personal space. And from there, you can build something. So I believe in fundamentals being strong, and then you add icing to the cake. I think we've got a lot of icing at this club, not enough fundamentals, not enough glue, not enough people that can hold us together. We were talking last night on the podcast, just briefed about Man United's class of 92, and when they brought in those kids in at the same time. But those kids had Bruce, Pallister, Ince, Keane, Irwin, Schmeichel. All of them proper men, proper players, right? We're doing something similar, which, by the way, I fundamentally agree with. But now my eyes are now going to the players that are holding this together. So I'm now looking at Xhaka, Aubameyang, Lacazette, your face, El Neni, right? Your face is already telling me Cedric, Willian. Your face is telling Leno. Your face is telling me all I need to know. Now, I really do think the club is trying to turn a new page, and I support them in it, because at least they're doing something which is not wasteful and not showing how anxious they are about retaining their position in the game by giving out stupid wages and contracts, but actually looking at the game properly and thinking about future squad value. But you need the right glue, the right fundamentals, and I'm not sure we have them. There's an unease about the status of some of those players. Xhaka was our captain at the weekend or the weekend before. He was half out the door. It's Aubameyang, Lacazette half out the door. Willian's half out the door. Cedric should be half out the door. Leno's 1 year to go. He's half out the door. So do you see where I'm going with this, Tom?
Yeah.
There is no glue to solidify this. So there's no glue on the pitch. You then turn off the pitch. And what do you find? You find a young, bright coach, the second youngest or youngest manager in the Premier League, in his first job, traumatic 2 years or so, not been, very traumatic, very unfortunate. Who does he turn to? A young director of football, first job in Europe. Where is the club's glue? Where is the club's talisman? Who do people believe in? And that's my worry. I'm projecting forward, and I applaud some of the things we're trying to do, but I'm also somebody that looks down around the corner, looks to the horizon, and tries to think where people are going to be in the international break. And these are things people are going to be talking about. And it's going to be, we've got a bit more pain to go, mate, for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talk sport fodder. You know it, right? But we're going to have to stick together.
I don't see that happening, Clive, to be honest. I don't see the fan base sticking together at all.
No.
The fan base is already melting down. There's already people knocking on Mikel Arteta's car window and screaming at him to leave. I'm in complete synergy with you in regards to the thoughts about unity and needing to come together in just, realising where we are. And whilst we may have an opinion that a change is needed at managerial level, that's not going to happen, and that we just need to push the team as much as we can from a fan perspective. However, there is still time left in the window. I agree with you, the season's probably going to start against Norwich, but there is still time to change that glue that you talk about. And one of the players that we've been linked to at right back, for me, is one of those players that could, in Kieran Trippier. And I like Kieran Trippier a lot. Turns 31 next month. And I think maybe the Willian situation has given people a little bit of PTSD in regards to signing players of a certain age, and not actually looking beyond that, just kind of on the surface age and going beyond just to what they could do. Now, from watching Trippier, he has excelled in the last 2 years for Atletico Madrid. Simeone has improved him as a player and improved not just him as a footballer, but him as a person and how he is on the pitch. And if Arsenal are going to go for that right back position, I have no issue with us getting someone in the short term that's genuinely an upgrade in that position, so that in 2 years' time, or 2 plus 1 year options time, we can then make a decision on Trippier and either thank him for his duties, keep adding an extra year until he's not usable anymore, and we've got a young guy to come through, be it the Norton Cuffy of this world or someone that we signed 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the Trippier case study?
Yeah, it all depends on who goes out the door, right? So if Willian's out the door and Cedric's out the door, then Kieran Trippier looks like a really good idea. You know, if say Willian, Cedric, Bellerin, if they go, then you say to yourself, we've got room to put this guy in, and it sort of makes sense. I've listened to you this week, and I found myself agreeing with you. He's a good player. We need a couple of dads. Jonathan Luger wrote a great article in The Guardian this week, and it's very, very big thing for fans to say, we lack leaders, especially when we lose. When we win, no one says we lack leaders, right? But we said something, Arsenal don't lack leaders, they lack teachers. And I thought that was a brilliant line. On the pitch, you need people who can teach you what to do, tell you where to stand, help coach you, help give you a confidence. When you're young, you need that experience. We've got a number of young, bright players who are going to look different in 2 years' time. We know this, right? They've been pretty well selected. We can see the little sparks there. But they need teachers, not just leaders. They need someone who reminds them of their responsibilities. And that's why I'm not against it. I think it's a better option than the Bertrand option. I like what we've done on the left back situation. I do think we can afford it on the right back situation. But it depends who the two are. You know, the two that are left, or maybe three that are left. If we're keeping Cedric there, and I don't see a reason to buy Trippier, we're going to be seen through repeating it. If Cedric can get out the building and we're okay, then we can do something there. So, or you say to yourself, you know what, I'm really going to rip the bandage off, and I am going to go for an Emerson. I'll give an example there because I don't think he's gettable, but go for an Emerson type, because that's the type I like. A forceful, strong, up and down player that forces you to adjust to that player, and not someone who may as well be sitting in the seats with me at the weekend in Cedric and sharing my hot dog, right? Because he was absolutely posing no threat either way and just did his work, put on his tracksuit and went to the cash point. Am I depressing you?
When anyone talks about Cedric, my head just sinks. I can't get over why we signed him. I really don't understand why we signed him. I mean, I understand the theory of why we signed him. I just we needed support in that area at the time, and but it just
well, no, Cedric. Well, I don't.
Why
understand.
him?
Because when you got Southampton fans laughing that we've signed a player 6 months before he's a free transfer and he's injured for those 6 months, we then paid a small loan fee and then paid his wages. So we spent 4 to 5 million quid before we even see him put on his shirt. Then gave him a 4-year contract. We started from the
Was it
summer.
5 years?
It's 4 years. If it's 5 years, you're trying to kill me. I'm old. I could go at any moment.
Genuinely, I have a worry that it's 5 years. You keep going. I'm going to check.
It's 4 years. If it's 5, we might this show might have to end with man down, right? So it's 4 years. I'm sure it is.
Okay.
And I just look at that deal and think teams laugh at you for doing things like that. Southampton were laughing at us. We don't need to do this. Why are we doing this? And I see one of your comments says, this is the reason why Raul was let go. Well, it's a comment. And all I'm going to say is I share that opinion. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to try and look for that Cedric thing in a second. But that's one position. Now, I know that you nearly had heart palpitations watching Brighton the other day and trying not to tweet, but still tweeting about Yves Bissouma. Now, I looked at the start of this window and I said the right back and centre midfield positions are the two key areas that Arsenal must upgrade in this summer. The striker situation was questionable, but with Aubameyang and Lacazette, we had enough quality, I thought, for this season alone.
Yeah.
We needed to make sure we brought in an attacking midfielder, be it Erdegaard, who was very capable in the last 6 months that we had him, and that was fine to repeat that signing. I didn't realise that we'd need to invest so much in centre-back, but I'm glad that we kind of did after watching how bad Pablo Mari is and being very used to Rob Holding.
Yeah.
Saliba is a whole different discussion. And obviously we needed a backup goalkeeper, and we needed to add depth to that central midfield because El Neni had a year left on his deal. Ceballos had left as well, and Granit Xhaka at the time looked like he was going to. And we've got the AFCON situation later next year. So adding Lokonga was great. But I always said that the centre midfield and right-back positions were crucial to taking advantage of a season that we didn't have European football. We may get the right-back. That looks the one that's the most likely with the time that's remaining to sort.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the centre midfield position, and how, I'll use the word disappointed, are you that we haven't moved on from Xhaka or upgraded on Xhaka, or still have kept Xhaka but won't now go for someone else?
Yeah, there's 3 positions in there really that's under, but maybe 4 if you're really looking at it.
I said I wanted 4 starters, but that was never
going to But then, you know, the next phase of Arsenal is in 4 positions potentially. You know, let's just take it in order of priority. Right back's number 1. We know that now. We've seen Ben White play. We need to give him something he can play with that he's not looking after. He needs to look after himself and get us playing. So he needs somebody who looks after his own job there. So that's number 1. Centre midfield, look, you can't... you need to be blind not to see Bissouma. I mean, you just need to be blind. I don't know what people are missing here. He would have been the first player I signed the moment the season ended, and everyone else has got to shuffle around the deck. I don't care where you go. Xhaka, if you want to go, you go. But this guy's our guy now, and you lot have got to try to get him out the team. And I was still buying because I don't care about who signed what contract, because it's not a creche here. It's an elite football club, or meant to be, and you got to compete for places. You know, Chelsea bought Havertz and Werner and Ziyech in one summer, and had Pulisic, and they've got Mount, and they're fighting for 2 positions. They don't care. You got to fight. That's how you lift your levels. We should be buying him tomorrow morning. You know, but you know we're not going to, right? No. So if you're looking at White, we know Gabriel's a potential. We got Marie and Holding. For me, they're not quite there, right? So let's accept it. Marie surprised me how far he's fallen, because he was fine last year, occasional cover centre back, but he seems to really struggle in pre-season, and he's really struggled in the early games. That's a disappointment. Holding's in and out player, plays one good game, one bad game. The game needs to suit him, and so he's a worry for me. So we need to upgrade that position with somebody mid-20s, for when one of our 22, 23-year-olds has a bad game, we're not adding another youngster there, right? So that's what I would do. I'd trade one of those 2. But the real thing that's going to change Arsenal, really, and maybe this is a talismanic signing, is one of the 2 centre forwards needs to go to be replaced by something else around 23, 24, 25. A player that makes people think he's the leader of the team. And Aubameyang has got that potential, obviously. We're not sure about where he is in his mind and where the club are with him. He came on the weekend, Tom, and he was running around like a 3-year-old. So he's still engaged. Let's see what happens there. Don't give up there. There's something in there still. But we still need that mid-20s guy, don't we? We need that mid-20s guy. I don't know who it is, but we need that mid-20s guy. Or we need to change how we play. And and we won't do that, will we?
I'm laughing.
We won't do that because we just bought another number 10, right? So we need to change how we play. Maybe we play, you know, have you ever thought about playing 2 strikers? I mean, crikey. I mean, do we have to have Pepe and Aubameyang? One North Pole, one South Pole? Do we need to do that? Can we play them together and see what happens?
I loved watching Conte's Inter Milan with Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez playing together in a 3-5-2, and I don't know why we don't try that.
We'll just try it. Maybe it might work. You know, so I'm a big believer in just put a team out there which suits the players that you have on that particular day, and we don't do that enough. And when I see a misuse of resources, I'm sorry, I find it hard to not swear on the podcast, and I never swear really, but like I find it disappointing because there are 30 to 40 million Arsenal fans out there that desperately want the team to win, and sometimes you got to get over yourself and say, on this day we are weak, we're unfortunate, we've got illness, we've got injury, I need to put out a team that's going to work on this day. And maybe he felt that, but I didn't think it was the best use of resources at the weekend. We can lose in a better way than that, in my opinion.
I think that when it comes down to the next 5 games, which is, according to the Telegraph, all Arteta has to save his job, I don't buy into that too much. I think that's more of an estimate than anything. I think they're probably underestimating quite heavily how long it would take before the ownership make a decision on that. He does have Erdegaard in now, and he does have Smith Rowe available. And you said there that those two there mean that like it's unlikely we'll switch away from a 4 at the back system so we can have that number 10 in use. Do you think the arrival of Erdegaard is actually going to help Smith Rowe by forcing him to play in a wider position, which I think he kind of suits weirdly well?
Yeah, there's a couple of things going through my mind. We play with 2 10s basically, didn't we? We play with a left 10 and a right 10, and that's fine. You can do that, by the way, in a 3-4-2-1. Have a box in the middle there, 2 deep midfielders, 2 high midfielders, rolling in off the touch lines, rolling in off the back line, and spinning it out to wing backs and following the plays. You have 2 playmakers. We could use any 2 from 3, Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe. Doesn't really matter. And or Pepe, for example, and have 1 forward, whoever you want. Doesn't really matter. Very simplistic. There's another system you can use. I mean, you can use what Southampton used last year, the 4-2-2, where you have basically you start your wide midfielders are your 10s. They become your attacking midfielders, and you play with 2 or 3 boxes down the centre of the pitch, and you have 2 strikers pitting their 2-3 defenders back. That's a great system for this team if you want to use a back 4. You leave the space down the outside. So for this team, all you need is an up and down or right back, and we're off. Simple, just as that. A leggy right back, and you're off. So there's a way to maximize the resources and keep your units closer together and cover the pitch. What was so sad at the weekend was how much green grass was on the pitch with just blue shirts in it, particularly in that central hole. I know we spin out early to create overloads, white diamonds and triangles out wide, but mate, the game is about, if you want to do that, fine, but you better win the race back to the central zone, and we don't win the race. So when we expand too soon, and we don't contract with any athleticism, and that's been a problem for a long time now. We're obsessed with these wide area overloads, but we don't get back to the central zone, whether defensively or we don't fill the box to really see the benefit of our build-up play, which can be good on most occasions, except when we're playing a monster team like Chelsea, who cover the pitch, out-sprint us, smash us in tackles, take the ball off us, and have build-up either on the outside or in the interior that we can't stop. So it's difficult to judge us right now. I know people are hurting. I'm trying to look forward. I'm hurting too, by the way. When I say that, it's like I don't hurt. And I hurt a lot. Trust me, and I'm like you, Tom, we think about it all the time. Yeah. But I'm just concerned that we're going about this slightly the wrong way and not respecting the fundamentals of the game. And I think Chelsea showed us at the weekend it's an on and off the ball game, and one participates the other. You have to earn the right, I'm afraid.
Absolutely. Now, according to the chat box, I'm just searching for it on my social feeds. It was expected to happen, but apparently Willian has officially gone. Which I'm still trying to find the official tweet. I'm going to go onto Arsenal's website just to check if it is up on there, which it doesn't seem to be. But I'll keep an eye on it. But there have been reports, of course, that he's been in discussions with Corinthians. And it looks like Eddie Nketiah could leave as well for Crystal Palace. It looks like that there's one that I'm missing and forgetting.
Terrera going to Fiorentina.
Kolasinac could also be off to Fenerbahce. Now, it's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes regarding outs. Do you think that this was always kind of destined to happen? Because Drew brought up the point yesterday on the podcast that look, it was always unlikely that we were going to be able to push the deadwood out early in the window because other clubs know our situation. They know they're going to wait until the last moments and get the best possible deal for themselves.
Why pay their wages now? What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. So do you think this is good news seeing the players go, but do you think this could be a bit of a turning point for the club with Willian leaving after a single season, a real admittance of a mistake made in the market? Do you think this could be a bit of a turning point for Edu and those around him?
I hope so. The mistakes are obvious. We've mentioned Cedric. Willian is one, and I'll hold my hand up when Willian came in because Tom, we're fans, right? So you try to justify the move. You say, okay, Willian's come in. We had Martelli injured. Smith Rowe had an injury. We didn't have any creativity. Ozil was on strike. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have anything, did we? And we think, well, Willian has always played decent for Chelsea. Always been a good player, even when they had managers that weren't doing well, he still played well, and I thought that's okay. Extra year, no problem. We can go to Qatar for the last year, we'll be fine. But when he came in, he just drained the club, didn't he, of energy, his performance here. So it didn't work out for whatever the cost was, and there are rumours of big numbers, but it didn't work out. I could see what they were trying to do, but at least they failed fast and got away from it quickly. And that's better than some of the things we see with other players who are still here. I don't think we recognized their limits quickly enough and moved on from them. I think what we're doing is very, very scary, Tom. Very scary. We are really going full clean out. And if you look at it, of all the things that we needed to do from a selling point of view, we could nearly do almost all of them. And that is a hell of a lot of work that's potentially gone on in the background. So September the 1st is the day of judgment. My worry is, have we got enough, I said it earlier, have we got enough players to carry the youth? Have we got enough? And are they the right types of experience? And at the moment, I think we carry a risk there. If I'm the manager, I think my job's on the line here. I'm carrying a risk. I haven't got enough experience at the right age, at the prime age, to carry these kids through and to teach them. They are super talented, but to carry them through dark moments, to teach them. Last year, the kids carried us through the dark moments. That can't be the case again this year. We cannot overburden them. It'll be a dereliction of duty, really. And I hope we don't. And let's see what happens. So there are some buys to come. Hopefully, they'll make us feel excited. But I say those words, and I don't really believe them.
And I mean, tomorrow will be the 114th show or something like that of doing 8 a.m. updates on transfers that we've done this summer. And I said at the start that it was going to be a case of it will be the end of the window that sees Arsenal move the most. That most of the movement will happen for Arsenal at the end because of the outs that are needed to happen, which will bring in some funds, which they'll then release the ability to push for some players. If it ends up being Trippier and a midfielder, then great, fantastic. If it's just Trippier, okay, I'm fine with that. But it's still, I'd think, a missed opportunity in the window. Eddie Nketiah is a weird one as well. Just before I get a couple of questions before we wrap up, what do you make of the whole situation with Edu kind of holding out for a bigger fee than 10 mil? Because I feel like 10 mil for a player with 1 year left on his deal who's rejected a contract and barely played senior football is not that bad of an offer, to be honest.
Yeah. So Arsenal, it's just negotiation, Tom, right? So they've come in at 10, register an offer. Arsenal say 20. We'll probably get 13 plus 3 million add-ons.
We'll get 9 plus 1.
We'll probably get 13 and a half plus 3 million add-ons. And that's it. And we walk away and we'll be happy. Right? That's how it works. So it's never about getting the 20 mil. Well, I hope not, because if they do that, they're stupid because they're not in a strong position. He's not signing a contract. So let's let him on and let him go and do his thing. And that'd be a good move for him.
Let's go into the chat box then and answer some questions before we wrap up. Diddley Squat says, who will be bottom of the league when Arsenal play Norwich?
Well, I did read something the other day where someone said, we're waiting for Norwich. What we don't really realise that Norwich are waiting for us.
Yeah. They're targeting that as a relegation 6-pointer.
They're targeting that to get their season kicked off. So I thought, crikey, I never thought of that. Yeah, it's Tom, you were there at the weekend. You were walking around talking to people. You got the vibe. I thought the fans were very supportive in the ground, very supportive. They wanted to enjoy themselves. They wanted to support a team. We know we're not in shape. We know we're not ready and prepared. But there'll be none of that stuff against Norwich, mate. There'll be no goodwill running around the club
if we go 1-0 down, it is going to get toxic.
Honestly, wear your shin pads that day. It's going to be a tough one. It really is. But football changes very quickly. Do you remember this time last year? Well, not this time last year, but last year going to Chelsea Boxing Day game. We went for that game. We were thinking, crikey, we got Chelsea. If we lose to Chelsea, I don't fancy us at West Brom and then Brighton. Do you know what I mean? I remember thinking, if we lose those 3 games, it's over. It's over. That's it. He's got to go. That brings us down to relegation area. Do you see what I mean? We played Chelsea at home. Bang. Beat them. Go to West Brom. Slap them. Go to Brighton. Beat them. Everything changed from that moment onwards. Football can change very, very quickly. Very quickly. And I think we just need to get those wins. Sometimes I feel a team quickly forgets how to win. But as soon as they do, it all comes back. Movement is brighter. It's more proactive. People press a little bit sharper. They think a bit quicker. They press forward rather than press backwards. And it's just a slightly different feeling. And you think it doesn't happen, but you soon forget how to win. And that's where we are at the moment, I'm afraid.
It is a drug winning, absolutely, especially for athletes. And when you get that winning feeling, you don't want to lose it. You're like, oh, this is nice. I feel like this every week, and exactly. You hope that they do it again. Cena in the chat says, don't you think that most managers will struggle tactically with the current structure of the club and still need time to build their own platform?
Yeah, I don't know if you caught this today. There's a little snippet on YouTube on The Athletic, right? It's about 12 minutes section of their podcast. And David Ornstein did a chat about the structure behind the club when it comes to buys. And it was really insightful. And he sort of said, no other club has a structure like this where all the power is sucked into so few people.
Yeah.
And when David talks, you need to really listen because he has a view of all other club structures. He knows how it works. He knows the governance. He knows the oversight. He knows how transfer decisions are arrived at. There is a discussion. Well, not a discussion. I will tell you, there is a new analytics team at Arsenal which are very, very good. They're well thought of in the game. They're bright. And it's interesting to know the targets we've been linked to this year. You do a transfer show every day. Have been much better than previous years. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, I mean, when we got linked to Martinez and players like that, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
there's some thought behind this. Although we've all got our favourite players, and I've got mine, and so have you, and you're frustrated that they're available. Frustrated when you see Haidara go off, when players go off. Yeah, there are players that go away. We could have done that. We could have done that. And
did you see Szoboszlai's opening goals?
I did see that. I know he's had a stomach issue for a while, and I'm thinking that move's not working out. And then you see his first game, you think, oh my god, we missed out there. And so, but isn't that's indicative of we may never have got that player because that deal was probably done, but that's indicative of a player that can make a difference. Now, I like Marty Odegaard. I do like him, but if you gave me the choice of the two, I would choose Szoboszlai. And I think he brings more power, more devastation, more impact and influence. I just feel we're a little bit light, and that's my preference. I like players. I watched Nuno Tavares come on at the weekend, and he's having it with people. He's not messing about. He's brave. I like that about a club. I don't want to be bullied and moved around. I don't say I want a whole team of bodybuilders, but there needs to be a balance. We can't be so obsessed with so many number 10s that don't shake the needle when we don't have the ball. And if you want to look an example of what a team should look like, you ain't gonna like it. But Chelsea have got the balance dead right between physicality, technical ability, size, speed. They've got it all in their team. And they understand the fundamentals of the game on and off the ball. And they put a shape out for the players they have. Thomas Tuchel has never played a back three as far as I'm aware. And he went into that club and he went, this is what suits this team, and I'm going to live and die by it. And he's just done it, right? So if you're asking yourself what is the art of the possible, that's the art of the possible. I'm not saying we're going to go where they are because of the money to spend, and our chairman's not put £2 billion of his own money on top of what they get from the Premier League into the club over 15 years. So they can afford mistakes. It's not an issue. They can afford a hire and fire policy. We can't, but we can do better than this, and we hopefully will do after September the 1st.
Yeah, fingers bloody crossed that we do, because if we don't, I dread to think what's going to happen. One last question, and I'm genuinely interested as to your thought on it. And I was only going to ask it if someone brought it up in the chat, and they says, who would you go for if the worst case scenario happens and the Spaniard is gone? Who are you replacing him with?
Yeah, so
you got to be realistic as well.
Realistic. So when Wenger went, I felt the club needed somebody to manage them. I felt the club needed someone who weren't going to take no rubbish, not part of the board. Here I am, give me my money and I'll build you a team. And I wanted Conte, basically. That was the guy I wanted back then. But now we've got a different scenario, right? So we have just spent £130 million on not Conte players, right?
Not win now players.
Not win now players. And so now I'm thinking, okay, so I'm now thinking we need somebody who's a development coach that can put an identity in, that wants to work with young players and build them up and create a protective state around the club. So there's probably two. And Tom, I know you know a bit more than me about some of the European scene. So the guy at Ajax, is it Ten Hag? Ten Hag, yep. Or Hasenhüttl, funny enough.
I've said that before, yeah.
and not because they are like, I'm not sure where they are. I'm not saying they're the top, but now we're building this squad and we've now bought into the philosophy of youth players, building stars. You need somebody who can do that. So Conte's the best manager in the world, in my opinion, apart from Pep and Klopp. It's Conte. They're the top three, right? So is he going to come to Arsenal for a youth project? Well, my knowledge of Conte is that's not really his thing. Yeah. My knowledge of him is I'm leaving because you can't keep your players. You want me to sell some, so I'm going. I'm not staying around here. He's not a patient man. So although Conte feels nice to people, we've now developed a philosophy and a strategy which moves away from him, in my opinion. So I'm looking for somebody who knows how to build players, work with young players, build a system for them, protect their careers, nurture them, and make us like a Dortmund of the Premier League.
That's why I would have loved Nagelsmann.
He's been locked up for years, mate. You know that.
Yeah, I know that. But the next best thing for me would have been the Salzburg manager Jesse Marsch, and
his pathway was set for years. You know that too.
Yeah. I do know this, but it doesn't mean I can't dream.
I'm sure I learned it from you.
I know. I've lost all rationale in the last 24 months.
But they would have been my choices too, right? Yeah. So, but an Arsenal Football Club that's better positioned and better thought of should be able to rip Jesse Marsch out of his job right now anyway.
You hope so.
Absolutely. And this is how far we've fallen, right? We should be able to rip him out of that club. Say, here you go, come and look after our project here. But,
Iron Cubs is Marco Rosa, obviously former Rebel Salzburg coach, went to Gladbach, now at Dortmund, and we'll interested to see how he gets on.
That's a good option too, right? So people are thinking, you've always got smart audience anyway, but people are thinking smartly, not just, I want this guy. Think about where we're going. Think about the ages of players that we bought. Think about the ones who are towards the end of their contract, and think about who we could attract and what's the right thing to do, right? And that's why I went for those managers. And I'm sure, Tom, you're thinking quite similarly.
Absolutely. You get a lot of love in the chat box, Clive. Everyone has been very thankful for you coming on today. Appreciate your time, mate.
No problem. I should have given more time. So sorry for that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Duty calls. It's what it is. But no, massive thank you. Please do give Vision a shout out. And we are both nominated for the Football Content Awards in different categories, so we can support each other. That's how it works.
I'll make sure I support you. I think I have
Mate.
done. If I haven't done, I listen to the shows every day, most days. And so I do know the work you put in and the efforts you put in to get this channel going and keep it going. And I'm not talking, I'm not talking down to you. I genuinely think some of the stuff you do is absolutely excellent.
Thanks, mate.
Absolutely
Appreciate
excellent. So keep it going.
100%, and I can only speak equivocally of obviously Arsenal Vision, which just goes from strength to strength. It was an utter shame that the Vegas situation didn't happen, and fingers crossed that something similar to that can happen, because it would be great to see a live situation with the Vision guys, because the audience would grow so much.
Yeah, mate, I'll tell you now, we're growing beyond my. I sometimes forget. I sometimes forget. You just sort of think you live in your own world, but people listen to what you say. And we're very fortunate, right, to have the platforms that we do. So very fortunate.
Absolutely. Very quickly, Raptors Gunning, thank you ever so much for becoming a member. Really appreciate your support, mate. And the real Yanis, thanks for the super chat. It says, I'm happy with the transfers, but we need more signings that would go straight into the lineup. From my understanding, players for the first time didn't consider us as their priority club to sign for. That different knock is gone.
So, can I say something last thing? Because
you're the one at the time. So
no, they can wait for me. Right. So basically, when I first started podcasting, one of the things I used to say was Arsenal should have a strategy about being the employer of choice. I used to say it all the time. We should be the place. Everything we do should be around making sure we are the place to be. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. That's your top line. That's your mission statement. And all your pillars of your strategy should feed up to that. Because I feared the day when we weren't the place to be.
Yeah.
Right. So it started to happen when Ashley Cole left. Jamie Vardy was another slap in the face. And because that can't happen, when you're seeing this happening, you think, hold on a minute, there's something wrong here. We're doing something wrong. Making sure we are the place to be. And I'm telling you now, watching West Ham last night, they've got their 60,000 seat stadium. Spurs have got their 60,000 seat stadium. Chelsea have got 60 million quid under the settee, right? And we're sitting there thinking, hold on, we're the Arsenal. What's happening here? And we are literally the fourth club in London, right? So, and that's how quickly it can happen. If you don't look after your work, you don't do your work properly, you don't hire the right people, and you make multiple bad decisions time and time again. Hand up, I'm not one of these people that lives in the dark. I have to give the club a bit of respect, what they're trying to do right now. At least we're doing something rather than giving contracts out to our mates. And that's where we were at the end of Wenger's regime. And we still got a couple of lumpy contracts to get rid of, right? So I know it's tough for people. Stay with. It seems like we're doing something. Doesn't mean this manager's going to go on the whole journey, but the club has woken up to its place in the game and is trying to develop a new strategy. So I hold my hand up to them and give them, and I'll be there hopefully against Norwich, give them a bit of support.
Fingers crossed the plan comes to fruition and we see it out. And maybe the manager won't, but we certainly will.
We certainly will.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video and subscribe. Please do go vote for the Arsenal Vision podcast in the category of Best Podcast, and you can vote for us in the category of Best Club Content Creator. All the information is in the description, where you can find the website to go vote for the Arsenal Vision podcast as well. See you soon. Have a fantastic evening. See you later, and as always, up the Arsenal.